A peace agreement has been apparently reached between Israel and Hamas, and it's a multi-phase thing. And there's very open questions about what the later phases are going to actually entail. But in the first phase, Israel is going to partially withdraw its troops from some of Gaza. And perhaps most importantly, and this is the thing that's actually going to happen soon, Gaza and Hamas are going to be exchanging hostages. So the 20 live and 28 deceased Israeli hostages will be transferred back from Hamas to Israel. And then Israel has also agreed to release 250 Palestinians serving life sentences in Israeli prisons and 1,700 Palestinians detained by the IDF in Gaza since October 7th. And I'm gonna really try to focus on the good to start off with. That's all good. That's great. Those hostages never should have been taken. And when I say that, I mean all of the hostages. I know that most people don't. Most people don't even acknowledge or even know that there were many, many, many times more hostages taken by Israel that have been held this entire time. Not only men that are alleged to be in Hamas, and some of them might even be, but women and children as well, that have been held for years. And that has barely even been acknowledged. Now I understand they're not Israeli, but I have this old-fashioned view that their lives are still worth something. They are humans after all. But regardless, it's good for the families of the hostages on both sides that they're gonna get their family members back. Many of them have, I can't even imagine the amount of psychic trauma that they've experienced over the past couple of years, worrying that they would never see them again, that they would maybe hear that they had died, or maybe not even hear that they had died, and just wonder for the rest of their lives. That is an unthinkable situation to be in, and so that is good. They should be released. I wish we would all acknowledge the hostages on both sides, but I understand that most people are not going to do that. But that is good news. Aside from that, and looking forward, I would love to be proven wrong. Everything I'm about to say, I want to be proven wrong tomorrow and next month and next year and 10 years from now in everything that I'm going to say. But I can't right now. I can't participate in the massive celebrations beyond being happy that the hostages are being returned, because when I see all these headlines and the breathless coverage of peace being reached, I think of myself as a person with a pretty good vocabulary, but I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know what peace is supposed to mean in this context. Now, if by peace you mean a temporary, maybe very temporary cessation of Palestinians being murdered, then that's great. That's great. I wouldn't call that peace necessarily. I would call that maybe a ceasefire, maybe. And I understand why people don't want to use that term, because the ceasefires that we've gotten thus far haven't been worth a goddamn and hasn't even temporarily stopped Palestinians from being murdered. So I understand that word basically doesn't have any value anymore. And the goal is peace, and it's a laudable goal. By the way, it's a laudable goal, I would say, regardless of your motivations in going for it. And I would say my motivations in wanting peace are very different than like Donald Trump's motivations. Now, if you achieve it, your motivations are largely irrelevant. But since we haven't yet, I can't say that motivations are irrelevant. And by the way, let me just temporarily stop to say that if you are more optimistic than me, if you're celebrating today, I'm sorry that I'm going to kind of yuck your yum. Maybe I'm just over here being Buzz Killington. And in particular, if you are one of the many Israelis that are horrified by what your government has done and think maybe this means it's done, then I don't want to ruin your celebrations. And especially if you are a Palestinian and you have been suffering, terrified, losing family members, losing friends, and you think that this could last, or even you're just happy to have a day or two where it doesn't happen, where there's not more death, then I don't want to ruin your celebrations. And so any cynical or just angry or frustrated questions I might ask, points I might raise, are not at those people. It's mostly at the media and the politicians here, because I think they're being pretty fake about this entire thing. I think that they're choosing to ignore a lot of recent and not so recent history, to ignore the continued motivations of the players' party to this supposed peace plan. And I'm not paid by the same organizations as them, so I have no motivation to pretend to believe the things they're pretending to believe. And so again, I don't I don't know why it's being called peace, because peace is supposed to mean something. I mean, take a look at the way that even Axios, which is like a straight down, that's just a centrist, very status quo media company. They said the breakthrough comes 2 years after Hamas's October 7th attack, with Gaza almost entirely destroyed and more than 67,000 Palestinians killed, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Gaza is gone. In terms of infrastructure, in terms of buildings, less than 1 in 10 buildings isn't seriously damaged, if not destroyed. The vast majority are gone. And so theoretically, let's say that the Palestinian people are allowed freedom of movement, at least inside of Gaza, which is barely anything, but let's say they have that. What are they free to go to? Rubble? Is it peace if you don't have a home? Is it peace if your business is destroyed, if you don't have a job? Where are they supposed to go? What are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to eat? And I know, good, look, if some aid is now allowed to come in, then that's awesome. It's great that Israel will stop allowing people to starve temporarily. But like, what kind of solution is that to the problem? Israel's bulldozed their farmland. They've destroyed it, destroyed all their infrastructure for water and medicine and electricity, education. It's gone. Like, okay, they can go to rubble and desert, I suppose. Am I supposed to cheer? If you cheer, okay, I understand we live in dark times. Maybe that's all that we can hope for. But I don't know how much I can cheer. And by the way, all of this is assuming, and I don't think we should assume, that Israel will stick to the deal. The deal, which by the way, is incredibly vague, incredibly abstract. And that's being charitable to it. And by the way, let's say that they do. Let's say that Netanyahu, who does not want this war to end, does not want some sort of stable status quo that would allow political opposition to rally against him, the legal process to continue against him for the crimes he's committed. He desperately does not want that. So he has every incentive in the world to torpedo this thing. And by the way, he knows that if he does it by doing bombings or whatever, he can say, well, I had to do it because there was a Hamas over there. So I didn't do it, Hamas did it. And many media outlets will say, we had peace and then Hamas ruined it. And by the way, maybe Hamas will ruin it. I also don't know why they have that much of an incentive to go forward with this deal, because I think they have every reason to believe that they will continue to be hunted down and murdered. And so I'm not sure why they would go along with this. And I know why Netanyahu wouldn't go along with it. I know why the even more bloodthirsty members of his cabinet would not want to go along with this. But let's say that they do. They go along with it. Everything's great. There's fairies flying around, unicorns are rampaging across Gaza or whatever, and everything's fantastical and amazing. So like, just we're cool now. We're cool. And again, it's not for me to say. So the Palestinians to say, maybe they feel differently. Everything Israel did is just fine. We just go back to, well, sorry, I was gonna say go back to funding their military and everything. We never stopped, of course. We could have threatened that, we didn't. But no, it's just the intentional murders of civilians. It's just cool. When they killed civilians and people pointed it out, and then they did it again and again and again and again and again and again. And I could literally do that until our show ended, and I would not have encapsulated all of the intentional murder of civilians. Children's heads being blown off, families being buried under rubble, women being set on fire. More than 80% civilian casualties. And not just the civilians. There's never been in modern history, there's never been a place where media was not targeted for assassination at the rate that we've seen in Gaza. Hundreds of members of the media systematically murdered to hide what was going on there. That too is cool now because we have peace. That's fine. Activists and aid workers assassinated multiple times for the same organization. Just bombed, complying with every rule, every regulation, murdered by the IDF for daring to bring food and medicine into Gaza. That's cool. That's cool. And remember, it's not just the stuff that happened inside of Gaza. Israel has been bombing every country in the region. Now, evidently, they stepped a bit too over the line with that, and the bombing of Qatar seems to have triggered Donald Trump into some action. So I guess that's good. But everything else, the plan that I see no reason to believe has been set aside to ethnically cleanse the entire land, to continue to push the Palestinians down in the south, steal the land, and develop it for their own use. They're not gonna do that now? I hope not. I hope not, but I kind of doubt it, considering everything that I know about Netanyahu and his government. And I question how much going forward Donald Trump is going to care about any of this. Because while I will give him some credit in this, and that is not a thing that I do often on this show, I will give him some credit on seeming to, in the past month or so, lean more heavily on Netanyahu than generally he has been willing to, or that past administrations have been willing to. Now, I know a lot of people are saying that's the difference, and I don't think that that is fundamentally the difference. Now, Biden did not do this, and he should be criticized for that. But I also don't believe that if he did, Netanyahu would have stopped. I think he should have put pressure on him regardless. He definitely should have threatened or indeed taken away the military funding. But I think it was the situation on the ground that truly changed. I think most analysts believe that. Now, part of that is a result of the offensive, in that 1 to 2, in 10 of the people Israel has killed have been Hamas. And so, if you kill enough people, then some of those will be Hamas. Hamas's situation is worse than it was a year ago. That changes the situation. And everybody acknowledges that Israel is more diplomatically isolated than it was. But hold on a second, because if that is one of the big determining factors, did Trump do that? Did Trump work over the last 9 months to make Israel a pariah state, to point out the war crimes they were committing? Did he do that? Or did we do that? Activists, media on the ground in Gaza, media around the world, the people marching, indeed marching in Israel as well, by the way, those doing the critical coverage, the courageous members of the media going there, many dying to get the truth out, the individuals posting videos on TikTok and on YouTube, doing live streams. They're the reason that Israel is in a worse public relations state than they've been in the last half century. Donald Trump, by the way, could have been an ally in that fight. He was not, certainly not publicly. So just bear that in mind. Again, if the fairies are flying and if the unicorns are galloping, then none of this matters, I suppose. But for historic reasons, I think it matters. And the important thing, and the reason I talk about motivations here is, it is, I guess, something to have the hostages be transferred. It is another thing for Israel to actually leave Gaza and for the Palestinians to actually be in charge of what happens there. And that will, bet your ass, require continued investment by the American government. Now, when I say investment, I mean in time and attention, because I don't even dare to dream of us actually investing money into Gaza. And will Donald Trump care to do that? He wants peace because he wants the Nobel Peace Prize. But once he gets that, what does he care? Do you think that if the murder continues, he would lose sleep? I do think motivations matter. Again, we should take every dollar that we give to Israel and we should invest it in infrastructure in Gaza. If we're gonna continue to give aid to the region, we should do that. You know how you could make it so that once Israel's pulled its troops out, they don't go back in? Offer to the new government of Gaza that we will be their military ally, in fact. We could do that. We would never do that. I speak insane words, untethered to reality. Although, why? Why can our investment of money and military aid not go to them? Why does Israel not have to rebuild what it destroyed? Why does it not have to pay reparations to the families of the many civilians that it killed? Why are these questions that I raise so crazy that I believe I've literally never heard anyone say them before? Has it ever been discussed, even to then result in laughter from the rest of the panel on CNN or MSNBC? The idea that reparations should be paid after you've committed 2 years of war crimes. But we have peace. We have peace. Again, I hope that we do. We'll do continued coverage. I know that I've already gone on far too long on this. I'm very frustrated about the media reaction. I'm very frustrated about the way our politicians are talking about it. The way Donald Trump talks about this, It's like a dim-witted child. He cares only about his own prize. And again, I'm gonna needlessly say it, if we get a durable peace, a meaningful peace, rebuilding of the land, Palestinians actually being in charge, them not being bombed or invaded again, then whatever, he can be a moronic child and that'll be fine. But we don't have that yet, and he is a moronic child, and that does imperil the chances of it actually happening, considering the ongoing desire on the part of the current Israeli government to seize that land. So that's my thoughts for now. I'm the Buzz Killington. Feel free to hate me if you want. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong for every goddamn word I've ever uttered on this show. But I fear that I will not be.